B-boy. From the old to the new, still a B-boy. Too bold for the school, still a B-boy. East Coast to the West, B-boys worldwide. We supposed to be blessed, still a B-boy.
What's up, everyone? We're back with another roundtable episode. I'm joined by four people you've seen before on the roundtable. First, I got my man Riplak Entertainment. I got East Coast Maryland, Raven Hunter MC. I got Diz Mega. He's out on the West Coast. Make sure you check out his podcast, Rap Throwback. I am loving it. I'm doing a deep dive into it, so I wanted to give you love for that. And of course, ex-Murder Dog writer, Brad Sadler. All right, I'm going to start. So I had to put this on for the cultural significance. If you're being, you're not going to hear lyrics like Rakim, but this is the album that anyone that's around our age, we either had the album or we had a dub of it. 1989, Two Live Crew, Nasty as They Wanna Be, right? We all had it. We all were, kids loving to listen to the Fuck Shop. So I put it on for that, but also for the groundbreaking Supreme Court ruling. They get arrested for performing these songs, right? And it goes through court up to the Supreme Court and they win. So not only was it for all rappers in the future, being able to do anybody art and have your, First Amendment right, but artists of all kinds. So just for that, and because it was such a big deal to people in our generation listening to it. And it also had their biggest hit of all time on any album, Me So Horny. I mean, even non-rap fans probably know that song if they heard it. And I always list some of my favorites. Besides Me So Horny, I got the Fuck Shop. Come on, classic. The Naughty Nursery Rhymes. We was all rapping that as kids, right? If You Believe in Having Sex. Come On Babe, Get the Fuck Out My House, Dick Almighty. The list goes on. I'm repping Miami's Two Live Crew, Uncle Luke. All right. Riplak, what do you got at number 10?
I have the Ghetto Boys, but I have the Foundation, and that holds a spot for me, and that's why I picked that. And it was rough picking a Ghetto Boys one because I know there's better ones, but when they came out, because that's one of those things that they took a while and then they put an album out and you're like, this is gonna suck, and it was good. And I had my first rap group. One of them turned into a snitch, and it really got to me. And so I listened to the G Code, like We Don't Talk to Police, and that just I got so upset and so thrown from left field on it that I listened to that over and over and over. And then it had like Willie D, Nothing to Show, and like that his solo on there. Just there's a lot on there that really touched me, So I'm going with that, man.
That's a record where the single was Yes, Yes, Y'all, right?
Yes, y'all.
Yep.
Y'all.
Yeah.
G Code is one of my favorite rap songs of all time. And interestingly, my wife fucking loves G Code. When that comes on, she's like, turn that shit up.
All right, next we're going to Raven. What is your number 10?
All right, so for number 10, I also went down to Florida. Paper Chasers Entertainment, an artist named White Dog. He put out an album in 99 called Thug Ride, and that shit was like everything I needed in 99 for just dirty South, grimy music. He had some hits like Restless and Straighten Up. I think they both charted. But the track on there was called Bounce and Jump, and it sampled the Tales from the Crypt theme song, and that shit just went so dirty. Like, yeah. So that would probably be my number 10.
All right, what do you got, Diz, at 10?
All right, at 10, I'm gonna go with Mr. Mike, Wicked Ways.
Oh.
This was
the
first Suave House album that I ever heard and that I ever bought. It introduced me to 8-Ball and MJG. I was a late bloomer when it comes to the South, but Suave House was really my entry point. He had a couple notable tracks like with Ice Cube, 8-Ball MJG, and EA Ski did about 5 or 6 cuts on this record. So it was almost a mixture of West Coast meets Texas. So gotta love Mr. Mike. He's still doing his thing, but this one I gotta put at number 10 for me.
That's one of my favorite Suave House albums of all time.
Yeah.
So it will make an appearance on my list later on. But like you said, with that EA Ski production, it really did have a West Coast vibe. All right, Brad, what Rap-A-Lot album do you have at number 10?
All right, no, this one is not a Rap-A-Lot album. I have two that aren't Rap-A-Lot. So my rap listening career kind of can be, we did the West Coast, which was kind of my first love. Then I kind of went down south and fell in love with the Ghetto Boys and the stuff Rap-A-Lot was doing. And then I had a resurgence in the mid 2000s. I started working out with a trainer, and my trainer loved Lil Wayne, so he'd always have Lil Wayne on when we were working out. And so I had to pick something, Lil Wayne, Rick Ross, all that. I was like, which one should I pick? And I think the pinnacle for me was about the Carter 3 area, but I didn't pick Carter 3 because that's not totally consistent all the way through. There is a mixtape called No Ceilings, which is incredible, amazing. Never was released as like a proper release, just a mixtape. And then there was an EP called The Leak. So I put both of them on there. The Leak was like songs that were supposed to be on Carter 3, but then they got leaked early. So he just put it out. And to me, that's the pinnacle of Lil Wayne. I dig his voice. I dig the little funny things he says and the way he says them. And so I had to include something that wasn't Rap-A-Lot, and that's what I'm including.
All right, number 9, an underground legend from Houston. He's put out over 50 albums. K Reno from South Park, his Making Enemies album. Now, like you and I, Riplak, were talking about, he's got so many albums, it's near impossible. It's near impossible to pick which one is my favorite. But this one, to me, is the most solid front to back. If people don't know K Reno, he is so lyrical. People say the South don't have lyricists. He's a top 20 lyricist, period, in hip hop to me. He's such a great storyteller. He's up there with the Slick Ricks and Ice Cube with storytelling. He came up in South Park. He started rapping with Gangsta Nip in the mid 80s. I mean, he's been doing it forever. Some of my favorite songs on here is Head Punches, Enigma Class, the title track, Making Enemies, Escape to the Unknown's a dope story, Burden Robe. If y'all don't know K Reno and you like lyrics, check him out. K Reno, Houston, South Park. What you got, Riplak, at number 9?
Okay, this was higher, but it got replaced with something much greater. But this is Scarface, Balls in My Word. And
Nice.
One of my favorite things from this album that gave me years and years of great music was the first time hearing Zero on My Grind. And Only Your Mother is on this album.
Scarface didn't actually want that album put out. That was
I'm glad he put it out.
He didn't put it out.
I didn't know.
He had left Rap-A-Lot. Yeah, if you read his, sorry to like take over your post.
No, you're good.
He's like my favorite artist of all time. But if you read his book, he had left Rap-A-Lot at that point. That was when it came out around the time he had done The Fix. So he had like an unfinished album that he didn't really like. It had some I think it had some strange disses to like 50 Cent or something on there as well too that he didn't really want to put out. And Rap-A-Lot kind of put it out, and they did that. They've done that for a couple of artists. So Big Mike's 99 album was another one that they just pulled from studio tracks and put up. But that's how Balls in My Word are. And if you read his book, Jay Prince would change albums, they'd turn in a finished song, and he'd go back and pull out some unfinished track that they had changed and put it on the album, or if he was pissed off, he just put out a whole album that you didn't approve of. So that is a completely unapproved Scarface album. But I mean, Scarface is so awesome that even his albums that he didn't want out are incredible in my opinion. So.
Yeah, I did not know that, but yeah, that was definitely one I listened to a lot when it came out. No pun intended.
Hey, what you got, Raven, at number 9?
I would have to go with BG, Chopper City in the Ghetto. Just because when that came out, that's all you fucking heard. Like all summer, bling bling and shit, that's all you heard. And I was with it. I love BG. From True Story back in the early 90s all the way up until he went to jail and beyond, I've always loved BG. Even when he forgot how to rap and he just started mumbling and shit, I still like what he was putting out. So.
Number 9, Diz, what you got?
All right, at my number 9, I got Slim Thug, Boss of All Bosses. I know the record came out about 2008. It was probably the first Slim Thug album that I really got down with. Already Platinum had come out, and it was decent, but this one I thought kind of, I don't think he ever reached the quality of this again. Had some notable features in it, like Zero and, Scarface and Devin the Dude, who's the man, UGK, of course. And he had that big Welcome to Houston track at the end.
Right.
It just had like Paul Wall, UGK, Zero again, Chameleonaire, a few other rappers on there, man. But I like the record. It's probably the only Slim Thug record that I really give high marks to. Unfortunately, just in my opinion, he hasn't really reached that quality again, which is kind of disappointing. But the record itself, I like it a lot for my Southern collection. I'm gonna put it at number 9 for me.
What do you got, Brad? Number 9.
All right, so number 9, I had a 2 Live Crew album. The first one is What We Are, but I last minute decided to make a change because I started to think about No Limit. So right after Tupac passed away, who was at that point was my favorite hip hop artist, I was really searching, looking for some more hip hop to get into, and I kind of dove into No Limit. I never thought it was super great, but it was like,
It wasn't.
Yeah, it was okay. But I would say that of all the No Limit releases, Silk the Shockers' Charge It to the Game is one that I really like.
Mhm.
Awesome album. I liked his kind of laid back voice. Kind of reminded me a little of Snoop, although his rap style was a little bit different. And interestingly, and another reason I chose it because I have a cool story about that. I actually went and saw the No Limit Soldiers in concert at the Silverdome. And if you know anything about that concert, so I got VIP tickets, and back then VIP tickets were like super cheap, like $50. And so they had seats put down on the floor for the VIP tickets, and then it was like in the regular stadium. I think it was at the Silverdome, the Pontiac Silverdome. And Scarface was the opener, part of the reason why I was going. So Scarface opened. I got to see Scarface live for the first time. And then the No Limit people came on. And this was when Mystical was like at his hugest. So basically, Master P comes out, a couple people come out, the crowd's getting a little wild. And then all of a sudden, Mystical comes out, and the crowd goes fucking berserk. And so they had all these folding chairs for the VIP, and they were kind of connected. Well, people started jumping up and down and breaking the connections between the folding chairs that were setting up in the VIP. And then literally fights started breaking out. People were beating each other with the folding chairs. A full-on fucking riot broke out in the Silverdome. And I got with one of my friends, and we're just sitting there watching this shit. We're like, what the fuck is going on? And we're like, let's get the fuck out of here. So we like run out. They shut the concert down, get everyone out. There's fights out in the parking lot. It was fucking mayhem, complete mayhem. Story, you Google like No Limit concert, Pontiac Silverdome, it'll come up. They actually, Pontiac Silverdome banned rap concerts after that. Like they didn't allow hip hop there after that show. I think it was in '97. So anyways, that was my brief No Limit phase, and I figured I'd throw in an album in just to talk about that cool story of being in that riot at the Silverdome.
I always like to give Master P credit because even though he was a subpar rapper, if you're being objective, that one year, 98 or 99 it was, every week he put out a new No Limit album. I mean, that's bananas. Think of the work. I mean, that's crazy.
I remember that Silk the Shocker album. It was do you remember how No Limit came out like these plastic CDs?
Yeah.
The Silk the Shocker one was like white.
Yes.
And it looked really cool. You can like look for one on eBay. I was looking for one a few months ago actually, just to have it. You know, I was like, they don't make CDs like this anymore. And I think they only did, I'm not sure if it was only No Limit who did it, but they were weird. Like it was like a plastic, no glass or plastic glass on the cover.
Right.
It was different.
All right, we're at number 8. I couldn't decide which one to pick between this artist. I felt I needed him on the list. even though he is kind of mainstream, but I'm still a fan. 2001, Ludacris, Word of Mouth. It was a toss-up between this and Chicken and Beer. The reason I like Ludacris is he's good at bridging gaps. Someone who's a hardcore hip-hop head like me can get down with him because he's very lyrical in a lot of songs. He's obviously got beats that just the people in the club like, or just a casual fan of like. He's really good, and everyone can agree on Ludacris. And after Back for the First Time dropped, I really thought he took it to the next level with Word of Mouth. I mean, it had Move Bitch, Growing Pains, such a dope beat. Area Codes, because we all got hoes and different ones. Roll Out, My Business, you know, Cry Babies. But the first track, Coming to America, where they kind of spoof the Coming to America, a bath scene. I mean, he just kills that shit. So I'm going with Luda, Word of Mouth. What you got, Riplak?
I did have Ludacris on my list Back for the First Time, and it got bumped. But I do want to say one thing. So this album, when the big hit came out, everybody in high school was like, he was listening to them. He loves him. He loves him. Like, you guys are behind. Well, that's because before his big, huge hit, the first one he came out with was Hot, Juvenile, 400 Degrees.
Yep.
And I loved that. It was so hood. Like, he had it. It was on Rap City, The Basement, and like, I love Juvenile, and I got that album, and in high school that wasn't hot yet, and I was listening, and then like, what was it, Back That Ass Up or whatever, that popped off, and everyone was into it, and they're like, he liked them, he liked him, and I was like, I don't even like that song now, because like, I found him first, because I was listening to hood shit. Right. But I love Juvenile, and I went back and bought his cassette tapes of like before that and shit, where he was doing reggae type sound and shit, and like I don't know, man, I love Juvenile, and I did listen to a lot of BG, never really into Wayne as much, but like BG was my shit too, but like Juvenile, love that guy. So that was my number, 8?
Yeah, we're at 8.
Yep, 8.
You know, Juvenile is the first Cash Money artist to really, really pop off. I mean, that Back That Ass Up was playing nonstop everywhere. All right, what you got, Raven, number 8?
Well, I do got 400 Degrees on the album later. I'll just say that. But for 8, I got a Duke Nukem. He's a rapper out of Memphis. This album came out like 2 years ago. And he's still putting down that same just wicked ass Memphis, you know, devil shit. And Chopper Girl almost made the list because I love that sound, and she was from Memphis as well. But yeah, Duke Deuce, he's got a couple of tracks on Duke Nukem that just go hard as fuck. Like Fell Up in the Club is ridiculous, and Gangsta Party's ridiculous too. So I definitely recommend Duke Deuce.
Yeah, I'm gonna check that out because I am unfamiliar. You actually mentioned something I don't know. What do you got, Diz, at number 8?
Number 8, I got Tila, The World Ain't Enough. This is a 2000 release by Rap-A-Lot, actually. And as we know, he jumped ship from Suave House to Rap-A-Lot. And I'm not sure that was a friendly transition, but it is what it is, you know. I love the album. Tila does most of his production. There's a little help from Slice T on here. But I was just really impressed with Tila's talent, you know, as somebody who can make music and still rap, and the quality of the music is awesome. Like, he could be producing for other rappers and stuff. And it's a Rap-A-Lot album, so you know we got our features like Devin the Dude, you know, Scarface. I love the song Drugs with Gangsta Black and Devin the Dude, if you haven't heard it. You know, Devin does this classic shit on there, you know, just about doing drugs and shit. He is amazing, man, and I like the samples that Tila picked. He's got a great ear for music, man. The guy is talented. Unfortunately, he just never got the spotlight I think that he deserved. But, you know, that is the case with a lot of these hip hop artists. But I love me some Tila, man. I hate to forget about the guy, but he's one of my favorite rappers down south. So World Ain't Enough.
Yeah, he's on my honorable mentions. I like that album. I kind of lean towards the Pieces of Mind album a little bit more, but they're both, I love both of them. They're both great.
Those are both fire ass albums.
Right. All right, Brad, hit me with a Rap-A-Lot at number 8.
All right, you got it. You got it. Let me grab my shirt for this one. So this is not the shirt for the album, but I wore this to the most recent Scarface show I went to when I was in the front row. Actually, I had him sign the first 7-inch that he ever put out, which is he talks about in his book, and it's an interesting read if you haven't read his book. It's amazing.
It is a good book.
Later, when maybe I'll talk a little bit about that 7-inch because it's kind of special. But let's talk about this album. I picked The Fix, which is probably his most commercially popular album. It's not my favorite Scarface album. There are definitely some great songs on that album, but I wanted it on the list because I think it's important to know a couple of cool things about this album. So Mike Dean is, really the guy that made the Rap-A-Lot sound. So starting about 93, 94, you'll see his name on most of the Rap-A-Lot releases, and he was kind of instrumental. Came from like a rock background actually, and instrumentalist, played guitar. Somehow found his way over to Rap-A-Lot and started working with like Joe and a couple other people to kind of make that Rap-A-Lot sound. Well, Scarface at some point was getting a little bit more popular. Ended up signing to Def Jam South for a brief period of time through some deal that he made with Jay-Z, and Jay-Z and him kind of put out The Fix, and so Jay-Z's on there. But interestingly, a very, very early Kanye West does a beat on that, on Guess Who's Back, and this is before Kanye was popular. So interestingly, Kanye meets Mike Dean when he's working for that album, and Mike Dean kind of jumps over and starts working with Kanye. And and then amazingly, Kanye's sound and starts making these impressive albums. So if you start looking, you'll see Mike Dean's name on all these. I can't remember which Kanye album he actually started with, but to me, Mike Dean is this fucking incredible guy that a lot of people don't know. Created essentially the down south, Rap-A-Lot sound for the 90s, and then continued his career into. I think he's still working with Kanye, but I'd say peak Kanye was like, My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy, Yeezus. And so his career just kind of, continued to go in that direction. So for me, this album is significant in that there's an introduction between Kanye and Mike Dean, in addition to that song, which is really awesome. And then of course on my block, which is, a big hit for Scarface.
So we're going to stay with Rap-A-Lot. My first Rap-A-Lot, I could not decide, and a lot of people disagree that this is his best solo album, but it's my favorite. It's my list, so fuck it. It made it. 1992, Willie D's Going Out Like a Soldier. It's obvious that Scarface is the most talented. Bushwick Bill is the crazy, just, he'll say anything. But I always kind of gravitated towards Willie D. He's my favorite angry rapper because with Willie D, you believed him. You felt like he could reach through that speaker and slap the shit out of you if he wanted to. He was just very believable. You didn't think he was being a studio gangster or pretending. But I really like this. This is just after he left the Ghetto Boys. Ghetto Boys replace him with Big Mike, right? So now he's kind of on the outs. He takes little jabs at Scarface, and he might on Bill too, but I can think of one for sure. Before that was Controversy, which is a classic album with a classic cover. But I just kind of always gravitated to Going Out Like a Soldier. I love the title track, Going Out Like a Soldier. He kills it. Other tracks are Die, Go Back to School, Little Hooker, which is the Choice diss. I'm sure y'all remember Choice made the big payback. This is like Too Short and the Ghetto Boys. He goes back at that bitch. Clean Up Man, You Ain't Gangsta. I love this album. Controversy may be better, but I like Going Out Like a Soldier. Riplak number 7.
I'm gonna go with UGK, Underground Kings. I did have to put UGK on there. Way back in the day, I was a Bun B fan, and not because Pimp C passed away, but because I really got into Pimp C. Like, I love him. I listened to a lot of Pimp C, and I had to get both of them on there just because, like, Bun B, they're both just legends.
What do you got, Raven, at number 7?
I would have went with Mystical Mind of Mystical. It was one of Mystical's second album to come out. He was on Jive. But y'all ain't ready yet. Just the first time I saw that video, I was hooked on Mystical, and I followed him all through No Limit. And then when he left No Limit and got really commercial, I still bumped his shit. But Mind and Mystical, like, it felt like a meaningful album, like he had put it together to be an album and not just threw it together for Master P. You know what I mean?
Hey, what you got, Diz? Number 7 we're on.
All right, number 7. This is probably my most commercial friendly record, but I'm gonna go with Outkast, specifically Andre 3000's The Love Below. So that was a double record that we had here, Speakerbox. I kind of listened to it at first with my arms crossed, and it blew my mind. I was just like, okay, this is something else. This whole record is something else. And I didn't know what to expect, but it blew me away. It's not really that gangsta of a record, so it's a little bit out of my comfort zone on how to like critique it. It's kind of like a love record, I guess. It's really hard to explain, but I can't lie, I love the record.
All right, Brad, number 7.
All right, number 7 is a new shirt. Another one that this is original shirt from the self-titled Ghetto Boys album.
Oof.
And the back
hell yeah.
It's got Bushwick Bill, Play Pussy, Get Fucked.
That's awesome.
A favorite shirt of mine to wear to concerts. But anyways, so you could pick Grip It on that other level, or you could pick the self-titled. They're essentially the same. Grip It's maybe a little bit raw, and there's a couple of changes in songs and samples. But anyways, I mean, this is the album that they put out on Def Jam for a hot minute, and then it got taken off, and because Def Jam thought it was too controversial, and then got released on Virgin. And it's cool because it's collectible. So if you have the Def Jam record or CD, it has the original Steve Miller sample, or no, I can't remember which one's original. I think Steve Miller is original, and then they replaced it with a Leonard Skinner sample. But anyways, every song to me is on Gangster of Love. Yeah, so it's the Steve Miller. The original would have Steve Miller because it's Gangster of Love. But anyways, every song is awesome. It's just nothing. There's nothing redeeming about it. It's all about selling drugs, killing people, whatever. It's incredible. And sometimes I just like to listen to rap that has zero redeeming qualities to it, and those albums really do. They're enjoyable. So
I love Do It Like a Geo. That's a top 10 Ghetto Boys song to me. Number 6, I'm going to Swab House. I'm not to Mr. Mike yet, but he's coming. 1997's Crime Boss, Conflicts, and Confusion.
Ooh.
This is a super underrated album, right? This is Swab House at their peak. The Mr. Mike record, I think, came out the year before, or about the same time. But this, similar to that, also has multiple tracks produced by EA Ski, which really, opens up the sound from not just South, but that West Coast sound. There's no skippable tracks. Favorite tracks is the title track, Conflicts and Confusion, No Friends, Warning, Back to the Streets, What Does It Mean to Be a Real Crime Boss? It's one people don't think of. In his earlier record, before this, which name is escaping me, but he's like in front of prison bars. And then the one after that are all right. But here it's like when it all came together for Crime Boss, the Conflicts and Confusion record. Swab House at their best. My number 6. What you got, Riplak?
We got the South Park Psycho Gangsta Nip.
Ah, nice. I'm glad Nip made some of his list.
Got to put that in there too, because he was, innovator of that horrorcore rap, which I don't even really listen to. But back then, I was like, holy shit, what is this? It was so cool to have it. And did you see back in the day, when you look on eBay, his albums were so expensive.
He's a Southern legend, no doubt. And those first handful of records, like you, South Park Psycho, he had one, Psychotic Genius, which I love. I'm glad someone mentioned him because he's easy to forget, but he's a legend in Houston. He was doing shit that very few people were doing as far as the crazy lyrics.
It took courage,
And actually, a lot of the crazy Bushwick Bill songs like Chuckwick or Chucky, Gangsta Nip wrote those crazy lyrics for Bill. So that's Nip's writing, because that was the type of stuff he's on. Just things that then became horrorcore or whatever you want to call it. Up in Detroit, you had Esham doing stuff like that. Then you get Gravediggers and Flatliners, but he was one of the first people doing that, like horror movie type rap. All right, Raven, what do you got at number 6?
I got Master P Ghetto D, or Ghetto Dope. I was a huge No Limit mark. I got into him when Ice Cream Man came out. And I never really thought they could rap, but I was really fucking with the Beats by the Pound sound, and they had such a click, and it seemed like everything I wanted as an up and coming artist. Like I wish I had that family, that clique of like 30 people that are all riding on every fucking album together.
Right.
Every song had 6 people in it. Like they were all 7-minute songs, but in 23 songs somehow. But yeah, there was 2 years where he put out the album every week, and then near the end it went every other week. But then you just had, Mr. Servon doing 34 albums for no reason. But when I quit collecting No Limit, I had 72 cassette tapes, and I had everything they had up until C Murder went to jail and they quit putting out tapes. And that's when I just quit. And they got worse and worse and worse. But Ghetto D was kind of like the brightest spot of them, and that's Make Them Say "Oh" really is what threw No Limit record into everybody's mouths. So,
and that first track, the title track, Ghetto Dope, with the paid in full sample.
Yeah,
Fuck,
it was so grimy, and like
so
Steven
good.
Silk and C Murder, everybody rapped their ass off on that song for how they rap. You know what I mean?
What do you got, Diz, at number 6?
All right, number 6, we're taking it back to the Suave house. I'm going with MJG, No More Glory. Came out in 1997.
Oh, that's a great one.
His first solo,
yeah. I can listen to it from top to bottom, no skippables here. This to me at this point was the best Suave House record that they had. MJG is just like awesome. I love his the way he rhymes. His storytelling is pretty cool, and he's got that it factor for a superstar. And it's MJG, man. He's fucking awesome, man. I love it. Suave House was like that other record label that wasn't No Limit in the South. Not quite rap a lot either, but they were still pumping out some dope ass shit back in the days.
All right, Brad, I'm gonna guess we got another rap a lot at number 6.
Yeah, I mean, really, honestly, I'm sorry to bore y'all, but
no, it's not boring. It's interesting because you know more about rap records than Jay Prince knows. So school us.
I mean, from now on out, it's pretty much the Ghetto Boys or Ghetto Boys solo. These are literally my favorite records, my favorite hip hop records of all time, and there's just nothing that compares to them for me. So I'll try to make some kind of cool story about each one.
Yeah, school us.
To make it less boring for y'all. I had a tough time. Scarface is my favorite rapper over the long haul of the career. Tupac was for a while. Ice Cube was up there. But, record for record, Scarface has always been my favorite. And one of the reasons why he's my favorite is because if you look at a lot of rappers, they'll put out like 2 or 3, or maybe even just one like awesome album. And then the content just kind of drops off. Like they have a shitty album. It just doesn't sound good. It's too fucking long. There's too many samples. The beats are boring. You name it. It happens to almost every rapper. And it really never happened to Scarface, in my opinion. Maybe I'm a little biased, but and so I was like, should I put Deeply Rooted, which is the last solo album, or should I put Emeritus on there? And both of them are awesome records, but I went with Emeritus. I don't know why over Deeply Rooted, because both are incredible, and on any other day I could have picked another. But a couple of reasons. When I got that album, I was really into Lil Wayne, and I love that Scarface and Lil Wayne did a track on there. Zero, who's pretty awesome. There's a couple of tracks in there that I just really love.
All right, we're halfway through number 5, going to Atlanta. Similar to you, Diz, I never was a massive Outkast fan, but I always kept up with them. But there's one Outkast record that I love from top to bottom. I couldn't leave it out. So I got 1996. Atlians, ATLians, people pronounce it different. Before this, they had that Southern Playalistic Cadillac music album, which is a good record, but it kind of gets lost in that same sound. When this next one, they kind of cement their own sound, what I call the Outcast sound. And then from there, they kind of built on it with Aquemini, then Stankonia, which was massive with Bombs Over Baghdad and all those songs. But Elevators, Me and You, Your Mama and Your Cousin Too, love that song. If I just want to like chill out, I bump Elevators. Also had Wheels of Steel, Two Dope Boys in a Cadillac, Jazzy Bell, and the super underrated E.T. is a dope track. If you don't remember it, check it out. Outcast, Album 2, Atlians, What You Got, Riplak.
Well, I also have Scarface the Fix. And I have it above the other one, which sounds like I made the right choice after learning that Scarface didn't want the other one out. And it wasn't even my style of Scarface so much. Like he said, it was more commercialized, which I agree with. Because I had friends that were like, "Oh, the guy that does On My Block," and I'm like, I guess, but like, have you heard the rest of it? Like, come on, man. Obviously, Guess Who's Back. And the thing is with that is like, I'm not a big Jay-Z guy, not talking shit, but I'm not Beanie Siegel. Like, I only like his features. It's weird. I don't like his solo stuff. So that whole song just made itself, and then Kanye just destroyed that beat. Like, I couldn't get enough of that song. Like, I still hear it and I can't skip it. I'm just like, yo.
What You Got, Raven, at number 5?
5 would be Juvenile, 400 Degrees. It's already been explained why.
Right.
That record was huge. I already was into Juvie when Soldier Rags came out because, like I said, I was kind of a big Cash Money guy. So I'd already had the Soldier Rags tape and liked it, but it was like, it was like, this is fucking Juvenile. It sounds exactly like Soldier Rags. Like, but then there's so many other songs on there. And then you had the remix of How that had Jay-Z on it. That shit was fire. If you had gotten the repress of the CD, it had that remix on there. So yeah, I think 400 Degrees was kind of definitely top Cash Money. So
What You Got, Diz, at number 5?
All right, number 5, I'm going with Deeper Than Rap, Rick Ross. It came out in 2009. First Rick Ross album I heard, and I only tried him out because I knew he was beefing with 50, and I was like, yeah, fuck 50, man, I'm gonna check this shit out. And it was like some of the cleanest shit I've heard up to that point. 2009 was kind of a starving year for me in hip hop. It wasn't much, the labels weren't pumping out the classics as often as they used to be. So I was glad that Rick Ross kind of stepped in and started kind of adding some more energy back into the South. I credit him with that a lot. And, the Justice League as producers have been doing it for some time, but they came out some clean shit back then, man. So this is one of those records I throw in every now and then, and it still sounds like brand new shit to me. I like it better than his other records for the most part. So, Rick Ross, Deeper Than Rap.
What No Limit one you got at number 5, Brad? No, not No Limit. Rap a Lot. My bad.
No limit. First of all, so it's off the Made album, which came out like a year. Your song you're talking about is called Suicide Note.
There you go.
It's off the Made album, which came out a year prior, which I didn't like as much as Emeritus, but it still had some great tracks. Like Big Dog Status on that album is an incredible track. But I'm glad someone else brought that era, Rick Ross, Lil Wayne. I dig that era of hip hop. I enjoyed, I enjoyed all those people that Rick Ross put out, Meek Mill and all them guys around that time. It was good stuff. But anyways, so let's continue with the Ghetto Boys and or solo albums. We Can't Be Stopped by the Ghetto Boys is my number 5 pick. And to have it that low, just to me is the quality of the music that the Ghetto Boys was putting out, because it's an incredible album from start to finish. Has the best hip hop song of all time, Mind Playing Tricks on Me. One of the most recognizable. People might not even know about the Ghetto Boys or who does that song. You put that on, most people know that song. Bushwick Bill's verse in that song just sends chills down my spine. Like, I'm sure he didn't write it, but doesn't matter. The way that he raps it with that little I don't know. I just love his voice, and I can picture the video, him running up to that guy. It's fucking cool. So And I'll talk more about Bushwick later when I mention his solo albums, which are coming up. But anyways, I think there might be a couple of weak tracks on here, which is why I, moved it down a little bit. Like there's a live track where they're, having the audience do some participation stuff. I generally love sex tracks, and I usually love the ones the Ghetto Boys do, but the other level, I don't know, seemed a little boring to me. It's good, but it's not like, it's not as good as some of the other ones. So that's why I dropped that one down a little bit. But I'm Not a Gentleman. First of all, whenever that comes on, I turn that up and I rap that at my wife because she fucking hates that song because she's like, a feminist, and I'm not a gentleman. So, and not with Fuck a War. Oh my God. Like back when I was high school, early college, like that whole thing where the recruiter calls up Bushwick Bill and he's like, motherfuck a war. I don't know, just everything off that album is so good.
And like I said before, such an iconic album cover. I'm a big album cover guy.
Absolutely. Incredible that they took that picture while Bushwick was in the hospital, and a bit of exploitation. So when you read interviews, unfortunately with Bushwick, I mean, I think he was struggling with substance abuse and a lot of other stuff going on, and that cover was definitely record label exploitation, but in the end ended up being incredibly iconic.
All right, we're at number 4. I'm going Rap a Lot too. It's a solo album by a ghetto boy, but he was only a ghetto boy for one record. Big Mike, 94, Something Serious. This is the epitome of non-skippable tracks to me. Even though Willie D was my favorite ghetto boy, when that record came out where they added Big Mike, I'm thinking, oh, this is going to be terrible. There's no way he can fill those shoes. But he did. I knew him from the Convicts, so that maybe helped the cause a little bit. But when he put out Something Serious, his first solo album, so amazing. This is a top 3 Rap a Lot album to me, hands down. Besides Having Things, which kind of blew up because it was on the Dangerous Minds soundtrack. The song with Scarface, Daddy's Gone, classic. Coming from the Swamp, amazing beat. World of Mine, Smoke 'em and Choke 'em, Fire, so many more. I love this record. Big Mike, Something Serious. What you got, Riplak, at number 4?
I have Outkast Stankonia. I didn't really listen to them before, and I did give it a chance because my older brothers listened to all their other shit and like heavily. But I was like, I don't know. I'm not talking shit. I just, it felt like Stankonia came out at the right time around like Dre 2001 and all that. It just felt like it fit that time, and I really got into it. I listened to it a lot. I think they nailed it with that one.
All right, Raven, what you got at 4?
4. So I'm pretty much going to be sticking around Rap a Lot Records myself for the next 4 picks. But we're gonna start here with the Bushwick Bill, Phantom of the Ravra. This came out I think right before Resurrection or right around Resurrection, and that's my favorite era of Ghetto Boys. But it had, What You Gonna Do, Who's the Biggest, Bushwick, and there's so many awesome tracks on the album, and it was like Bill at like his grittiest, like just roughest and rawest sound. I love Little Big Man. Should I even like Universal Small Soldiers and stuff? Like I love Bushwick, but Phantom was like his highlight.
I agree. That is him at his peak. I bet we hear that again. I know Brad likes that record. But we're going to Diz, number 4. What you got?
Number 4, into Rap a Lot here, 2008, Bun B 2 Trill. This is his second studio album. I don't know, man. I love the record. It's got some great features, man. Like Lil Wayne's on there on Damn I'm Cold. I love that track. Number 4, You're Everything, featuring Rick Ross, David Banner, 8-Ball MJG. Great track. He's got a track out of left field featuring Maya. I was like, whoa. But the producers on here are all pretty much like, he's got a different producer for every track, but it still sounds like it belongs on the record. And I love hearing Bun B just shine on his own for the most part. I think he's a very smart individual, and like there's some things to the shit that he says in his lyrics, and I love me some Bun B, but this one kind of nailed it home for me. I wanted Rap-A-Lot to do more of this type of quality work, and I thought maybe they were getting a second wind, but I think this was towards the end here of the great Rap-A-Lot era. And I got to give it to Bun B here. He felt like he was the man at the record company at this point. So yeah, man, Bun B, 2 Trill on number 4.
All right, what you got, Brad?
I'm also going with Bushwick Bill, Phantom of the Rapper.
Oh,
And
yeah.
I figured, so Bushwick, he's not my favorite rapper, maybe my second favorite rapper. And mainly that's just because he didn't have as many quality albums as Scarface. But Phantom of the Rapper was really how I actually got into Rap-A-Lot Records. So I went into a record store and just saw that title, Bushwick Bill, Phantom of the Rapper, and it looked I was kind of into horror shit. I was into the Detroit, like Esham, ICP stuff. And I was like, let me pick up this CD and, maybe this will be something good. And I'm pretty sure it was the first Rap-A-Lot record I bought. It's kind of hazy because it was a long time ago, but it's one of the first ones I bought. And I remember putting it in and just getting fucking blown away. And I loved it. I mean, all the songs that were already mentioned. And it was right before I bought it, right before I went and did an internship in Chicago. And basically it was a semester in college where you got to go to a different city and you were supposed to work in your chosen field. What I did was just wandered the streets of Chicago, going to all the CD stores. And basically, since I loved this Bushwick record and it was on Rap-A-Lot Records, every time I found a Rap-A-Lot Records CD, whether it was Ghetto Boys or Bushwick Bill or Gangster Nip, or I just bought it and I'd bring it home. And I had my friend used to send me weed through the mail. He'd mail it to Grandma B. And that way, we thought if it ever got like intercepted by the cops, it didn't have my name on it. And I was staying with a friend. We were in a studio apartment. I actually was sleeping in the closet. My friend had the bed out in the room. And so he'd go to sleep. I'd stay up because I don't have to be anywhere. I'd smoke weed and listen to all these Rap-A-Lot Records albums. So it was just this fucking amazing time of like discovery of these incredible hip hop records.
My top 3, we're going to Suave House. It was mentioned. 1996, Mr. Mike, Wicked Ways. I was a big fan of South Circle, which he was a member of. I loved that record that they did. Then when he came out, I scooped it up right away. Like you said, EA Ski, one of the most underrated producers, produces like 4 or 5 songs on here. He's got the song with Ice Cube, Wicked Ways. The track Where's the Love At, which, I call tracks like that on the real tracks. I love that. I love that song. I love the beat. Great on the real track. Everything else kind of was talked about. My main tracks, Where's the Love At, Wicked Ways, G's Perspective, Southwest featuring EA Ski, Stop Lying with 8-Ball and MJG, Untouchable. Number 3, Mr. Mike, Wicked Ways. What you got, Riplak?
The Life of Joseph W. McVeigh by Zero. Most of those are also produced by Mike Dean. I listen to Zero all the time. And that was my first one, which again, I heard for the first time on a Scarface song. Went and grabbed that. That's one I can listen to all the way through. I love Zero and I listen to him pretty much daily for years.
All right, number 3, Raven.
We go back to the classic album cover from Ghetto Boys, We Can't Be Stopped. There's everything that could be said about that y'all already covered. It's one of my favorite just rap records of all time. And Mind Playing Tricks on Me, it's like Ice Cube's Good Day. Like it still holds up. You can still listen to that shit every day.
All right, Diz, what you got at 3?
3, Suave House Records comes out with 8-Ball Lost. I love this record. Both discs are tight. What can you say? The features, we got some West Coast shit there. Of course, 360 with Spice One, E40 and Gang. And then we got Pure and Cut with No Limit. And we got a little Bun B in there and MJG as well. Some of my favorite tracks though on here are like My Homeboy's Girlfriend. Like the storytelling of 8-Ball is just insane. He's very underrated as a storyteller. I would put him up there as probably one of the top guys, neck and neck with like Slick Rick. I don't know, man. It's just such a fucking dope record. I could probably say that it is the best double disc album. I would put it head to head against any double disc record, and I think it comes out on top. My opinion, this is the crown jewel of Suave House, so it's number 3 on my list.
No, I'm mad it didn't make my list. That's such a good record. Oh, such a good record.
It got bumped off of mine. MJG's Bound for Glory got bumped off mine too, unfortunately.
What rap a lot we got now?
All right, we got a rap a lot and a shirt. So this is original Ghetto Boys shirt from the album.
Nice.
Till Death Do Us Part. Till Death Do Us Part. Let's see. It's been mentioned, but I think there's a couple of things that hasn't been said about it. First of all, Big Mike slays it on this album. And I think I got it before I really understood, because it was in that time when I was in Chicago that I got this album. When I put it on, I was like, fuck, this is like the Chronic of rap a lot. I mean, this is just, I mean, it's so incredible. And the cool thing about it is, so Joe, I don't know, what you guys know about him, but he made all the beats to this record. Basically, he wasn't on a label. He just did it all at home, took the DAT or whatever he had and shopped it. And Rap A Lot was like, holy shit, this is it. And this is the Ghetto Boys album. And you go down and look at those tracks. It's Ano Joe on almost every single track. He's a Facebook friend of mine. He'll post things about it occasionally. I recommend friending him and listen to what he has to say about this album. But the pinnacle for me is No Nuts, No Glory, the Big Mike solo track. One of my favorite hip hop tracks of all time. I can listen to that song over and over again. There's no chorus. It's just straight fire out of his mouth from the beginning to the end. And it's all about the dope game. And it's incredible. And I think there was the Scarface solo track, It Ain't, is amazing. Straight Gangstism I think there's a video for that one. Just incredible. That's another Big Mike one. The Posse track at the end, Bring It On.
All right, we made it to the top 2. Now, everyone listening to this podcast, even my fellow guests, but mainly people listening, get out your pens, get out your pads. You probably haven't heard of this group. They're mad underground. They only did one record as far as I could ever find. 1995, they're out of Miami. The group is Southern Conference. Who Am I? If you ain't never heard this, just go on YouTube to listen to it. It is so amazing. It's some of the most talented MCs ever. You're expecting Miami, it'll be that 2 Live bass sound. And they have a couple tracks like that, but that's really not their sound. Top to bottom, it's a must listen. They do a track with 2 Live Crew. They actually do a huge posse track with all Miami artists at the time, even some West Coast artists. But if nothing else, the title track, Who Am I? Listen to that song, and I promise you'll dive deeper into the album. So to those who know it, Who Am I? Deja Vu is a great storytelling track. Biggity Bang is gangster. Life's a Bitch, On the Real. America, talking about real shit. Each one, they hit a different type of hip hop and they do it well. So the group is Southern Conference. Who Am I? What do you got, Riplak, at number 2?
So we got Young Buck, straight out of Cashville, number 2. Never thought I would say that before I listened to him, because I was like, fuck 50 Cent. I didn't like it. It kind of grew on me a little bit. And then I was listening, like I said, on the West Coast when we did the remix, and he had Young Buck on there, Young Buck's first. I was like, damn, I got to check him out. And I was at Best Buy. I don't even know if they sell CDs anymore. I haven't been in there forever. But I saw the Young Buck and I was like, I'm going to try it. And because he's got that grimy, I love grimy, that gangster, love it. And I think he's lyrical too. And I listened to the whole thing, man, I love Young Buck, man. Love Young Buck.
That's the record with Shorty Wanna Ride With Me.
Yeah.
Get low, hop in the show, blow, dro. Yeah.
But the others, there's a lot on there that's just it's not just like mainstream shit you would
Right.
think of out of that. And I was like, man, this is good. I loved it. I listen to that all the time. I still love that album.
All right, Raven, what you got at number 2?
We got Scarface. The Diary is my favorite album from Scarface.
I knew it would show up.
From the open of the album to the end, I love that record. It's one of my probably top 5 rap albums of all time. And it was just, I don't know, he was abrasive, and it was, it wasn't no longer the weird controversial. It was just that, like, motherfucker, this is how I live. You know what I mean? Like, and that's probably my favorite era of Scarface, The Diary.
That's a 5 micer. I mean,
Oh, definitely.
all right, Diz, what you got at number 2?
Taking it back to Rap a Lot in 1998. I got, like I said earlier, man, I was like a late bloomer to the South. When I first heard, one of the first Rap a Lot albums I got was probably Scarface My Homies, and that might have been after Yuck Mouth's Albulation. So that's kind of how I found myself into Rap a Lot. But what got me hooked for real is knowing that this company is dope as hell was Devin the Dude. Sticky Green on there, Don't Wait. Of course, See What I Could Pull. And just the way that Devin could story tell, just underrated, of course. And obviously he's got skills from like top to bottom. Dude can sing, dude is funny, dude can rap. His features are dope. He's still doing it, man. But this is kind of where it all started for me with Rap a Lot, was Devin the Dude. I still love this record, man. I could listen to it from beginning to end. And it's forever going to be probably my favorite Rap a Lot record. So Devin the Dude.
All right, Brad, what you got at number 2?
I'm gonna Scarface the Diary. I mean, Scarface is either gonna be number 1 or number 2 for me, and it could go either way. But I think there's really, I mean, everyone knows this record. I remember the first time hearing or seeing I just seen a man die on MTV. It was like a Buzz clip, and I was like, Scarface is now an MTV Buzz clip. That's weird.
Remember that,
So let me tell you a different story, because I mean everyone knows this record, and it's one of the best Southern records ever. But so I've seen Scarface live a bunch of times. The last time I saw him live was right before the pandemic in 2019. I read his book, and and I'm a collector, so he talked about in his book the first record that he ever put out. He had a solo record under the name DJ Action. It's not the Scarface record that a lot of people, some collectors, know about. That was on Shortstop Records that came out, which is also a very rare record, which of course I own. But he had a record before that, and he paid some money for a guy that ran a record label called H-Town Records to press up this single for him. Guy came back with him with a stack of records and handed Scarface and was like, yeah, here's your single, man, go to it. Problem was, it was a stack of 45s, and Scarface was pissed. He was like, man, no, hip hop guys do 12 inches, rock guys do 7 inches, fuck this shit. And I don't know if he ever sold it, whatever. Anyways, as soon as I knew that this thing existed, I had to have it. So I sought and found this record. I actually have 2 of them and the test press. I went to see Scarface live in 2019, had the record, got there early, got front fucking row. By the way, I've seen Ghetto Boys live front fucking row. This was my, I don't know, second or third time seeing Scarface. At one point in the concert, pull out the record. I have it on video on my Facebook. You can look, it's in a like a big, anyone who's friends with me can see it. I hand him the record. He looks at it, he goes, oh, this is old. He fucking signs the record, man. It was like the greatest moment ever for me. And then, the pandemic happened. He almost fucking died in the he got COVID. And essentially quit rap. He started, he ran for office, which he lost. He is doing one final tour, which is coming to my fucking town. Nobody comes here to Mobile, fucking Alabama. And Scarface is coming on a Saturday night in August. And I have VIP seats, which are like front row seats, because I got to have VIP seats. So I thought that was going to be my last time seeing Scarface. But As long as this show goes on, I will see him live one more time. But anyways, The Diary, fucking killer album, but I figured you'd like that story better.
No, that's great. Like to, you know, I know, but you know, to the other guys here and anyone listening, you probably have the most complete Scarface Ghetto Boys album collection. I mean, you pretty much have everything.
Pretty much, yep.
Pretty much, right?
Yeah,
That's awesome.
I don't know anyone that has more than I do. Especially Bushwick Bill and Scarface. There might be some people who have more Willie D than me.
Right.
I like Willie D, but he was never, for some reason, he never, was up there for me. I love his stuff on the Ghetto Boys records, but his solo albums just a little too inconsistent for me. But definitely Bushwick and Ghetto Boys and Scarface for sure.
Is what we came for, number one. And obviously it's Rap-A-Lot. They're the Kings of the South. We know what group it's going to be. My favorite Ghetto Boys album, 96. They came back together. Resurrection. When I thought Ghetto Boys couldn't get any better, I remember being excited because all Willie's coming back in the fold. We got the core unit. As much as I loved Big Mike, I was a fan from the beginning, that core unit. I was so pumped for it. I was a little afraid that it was going to disappoint because when you get excited about something, it usually disappoints. And right away, that first record after the intro, Still, that song alone makes it on the list for me. It's just something about that song that's so raw and real and hard. And fuck, I love that song. But that also had The World is a Ghetto, with the War sample, classic War song. Probably one of the best, and I'm a fan of Isham, probably one of the best suicide songs ever, I Just Want to Die. I mean, Bushwick paints that picture great, especially the third verse, when he pulls the trigger. It's just such a great song. Point of No Return, Ghetto Fantasy, Blind Leading the Band, Blind, First Light of the Day. The whole album is dope. Ghetto Boys, Resurrection, they came back together and killed it. All right, Riplak, what you got at number one?
All right, number one, we got Yellow Wolf, Trunk Music. Yellow Wolf gave this project out for free. He said he made money and got it big by giving away his stuff free. Well, he got this thing around and people loved it to where Pop the Trunk got into Eminem and Paul Rosenberg's hands. Right. They saw the video and they're like, he did that too. And they're like, okay, he got signed. Then he ended up coming back off tour and they pushed him to finish that Shady album real quick.
Radioactive was a Shady album, right?
And it was still good, but it wasn't where he wanted because they pushed him. And then he branched off to do Slamerican, which Slamerican, he did Creek Water Whiskey. He went to his own thing. He Billboard higher doing his own thing with Love Story, the album, than he did with Shady, which is really a big thing to talk about. Because he actually crossed over genres in a way. He still kept it hip hop, but he still kind of went to rock a little bit, that Southern shit. And he went on to do the smart shit by, building his own following and creating different lines of revenue. And now they got Creek Water Whiskey and they've had it, but there's just so much love and respect for Yellow Wolf, and all sprung off that Trunk Music, which we like Daddy's Lambo, like all that, which was Daddy's Lambo beat was produced by Drama from Rob Dyrdek's cousin or whatever. But like, just there's all this different shit on there that's just like, it's crazy. I loved it so much. Like, we would cook out and play bags and do everything and just listen to it over and over and over. And that's where it got him though. He put out this amazing project for free just to get buzz, and it got him signed to Shady. So, yeah. I mean, much love to that album, man.
All right, Raven, what you got as number one?
Should be no surprise to you. I believe we had talked about it before, but Ghetto Boys, The Resurrection is my number one. The song Open Minded alone, it makes me so fucking hype. I want to tear the steering wheel out of my car every single time it comes on. Like, But that whole album was like the epitome of their anger. Like they were past the controversy, but now they're just fucking mad. Like, and like you said, every song you named off was fire. But still is probably the best album opener, like one of all time. You know.
Yep. All right, Diz, what you got at number one?
My number one is gonna be Two Live Crew, As Nasty as They Want to Be. One of the
Mhm.
records that started it all for me. Of course, I had the tape. I was hiding it under my bed and
Right.
whatever. I don't remember how old I was, but I had cousins and friends that were dubbing it for me. I love the entire CD from front to back, and that might just be some nostalgia there, but it always takes me back when I listen to it. My favorite tracks there are like Me So Horny. Dick Almighty's got that crazy ass sample from some strange ass group, man. And then it ends off with Coolin', which is a dope ass track. I don't know, man. I think it's a great fucking album. Probably Two Live Crew's, well, my favorite from Two Live Crew. I got to give it a lot of props, man. It's just where it all started for me. Maybe even entirely for hip hop in that genre. The parental advisory stickers and shit, and it was just something else. We talked about it earlier, but
Right.
that record was something else. So I got to give it my number one.
Yeah, like we both said, if you didn't have the tape, you had a dub copy that you got from a friend whose friend had the tape.
Right.
I mean, those
And
are,
rest in peace, China, man.
yeah, not too long ago he passed away, no doubt.
He was dope.
All right, we're ending with you, Brad, number one.
Same thing as most people.
I assumed.
The best Ghetto Boys album. There's no disagreements here. We've already talked about it, so I'll tell you my best Ghetto Boys memory. I never, for whatever reason, did not get to see the Ghetto Boys live until 2012. After I moved to here to Alabama from Maryland, and it was always like they weren't together for a while. Then I think ICP kind of got them back together, and then they were touring around, and I kept missing them. So finally, they got part of their reunion tour, went to Pensacola, Florida, which is it's about an hour from me. I was so excited, got my tickets right away, and went and saw them live at some place in Pensacola. There was maybe 25 other people in the audience with me watching the Ghetto Boys. It was incredible. It was me and my wife was with me. It's my own personal Ghetto Boys concert. I mean, that's it. But they
That's
played,
awesome.
they played their fucking hearts out, but it was like, there was nobody else there. And I was watching the fucking Ghetto Boys. Like, it was like, for me, it was like bucket list. Like, this is the fucking pinnacle of life right now. So I have that memory. I've seen every single Ghetto Boy in concert. I've seen Scarface solo multiple times, so I'm very happy. Bushwick Bill is actually a friend of mine on Facebook. I message him every once in a while. Totally gutted when he died. He is actually, I have a lot of tattoos, but most of them are Rock Band, but Bushwick is the only rap tattoo I have on my back. I will get some more, but right now Bushwick's the only one on there. So sorry for all the Ghetto Boys in my top 10, but it had to be there. So that's it for me.
Yeah, such a great record. And as always, I have a list of honorable mentions that just didn't make it. If someone mentioned it, I won't say it because, of course, I got like the diary and stuff. But no one mentioned the Down South Hustlers compilation No Limit put out. Dope compilation.
That's a great compilation.
Mm-hmm.
Bouncing and swinging.
All right. We touched on that. Top of the World. Chameleonaire, Sound of Revenge was flirting with my list. 3-6 Mafia, Chapter 2, World Domination, mostly because the newer version of Tear the Club Up. That's a song where I want to tear the steering wheel off my car when I hear it. I mean, if I was ever going to get into an important fist fight, I'd probably listen to that. I'd be ready to, whoop some ass. And I also, this is a personal favorite. It would never make my list because it just wouldn't, but it kind of had a place in my heart, is the Bubba Sparxxx album Deliverance. It's just a unique sound. He mixed that Southern kind of, I don't want to say country, but that Southern white boy sound with Timbaland's beats. I really like that record. But otherwise, my other honorable mentions were all mentioned. So we got another roundtable done. I appreciate you guys all coming. I love these. These are my favorite ones to do. Peace, everyone. See ya.
Peace, guys.
Thanks, man.
Yo, Surreal the MC, Surreal the MC. Rearrange, yo. Still a B-boy like a grade short of an A. Metaphor 3, 2, 1, quarter to day. More to display, keep the hoarders away. Grabbing mics like cranberries with an ocean of spray. Old school like KFC, just get in the van. Streaking Snoop's Ren's hat, don't mention it, man. Head spin, back break, neck speed, pop lock, jaws drop, fresh fest, bomb squad, Hank shot. S you make no sense. What you trying to say? Pay to play, we outside just dying to play. I said play twice, though 3 times when I rhyme. Off topic I get, it's the sign of the times, finally mine.
Surreal?
Me, myself, De La Soul, Bud Ice with snowballs, yo, I'm way too cold. Still a B-boy for life, till death do us part. Come back, spray paint, real fresh from the start. Still a B-boy, from the old to the new. Still a B-boy, too bold for the school. Still a B-boy, East Coast to the West. B-boys worldwide, we supposed to be blessed. Still a B-boy, from the old to the new. Still a B-boy, too bold for the school. Still a B-boy, East Coast to the West. B-boys worldwide, we supposed to be blessed.
Hey yo, AK, kick that old school flow.
Okay, man, I'll take it back to 84. Remember when they said hip-hop was a fad that would last just a year or two? Well, 40 years later, we're bigger and greater. I guess that we showed you. Still miss that 80s hip-hop, the music that made me a dreamer. It had real beats, it was from the real streets, and was harder than a femur. It was a new culture for the youth, inventing as we went. We did it for the love, not to buy some bud or pay our mama's rent. Then Run DMC came along, changed the game, a whole new level. No longer underground, now earthbound, stirring things up like a dust devil.
Still a B-boy, from the old to the new. Still a B-boy, too bold for the school. Still a B-boy, East Coast to the West. B-boys worldwide, we supposed to be blessed. Still a B-boy, from the old to the new. Still a B-boy, too bold for the school. Still a B-boy, East Coast to the West. B-boys worldwide, we supposed to be blessed.
Hey yo, I got an itchy tongue, call it a trigger finger, cause it spits raps. Instead of peeling caps, I blow your dome back, so throw that. Whack round my way, sit down and check this style out. Take notes but don't bite and try to eliminate my clout. I'm out for blood, hunting like a predatorial species. You couldn't beat me if you was up early and had your Wheaties. You can't see me, you blind like Stevie to the fact that I'm still a B-boy spitting sharp over this fine track. These new rappers whack, they need to hang it up, put it away. They freshman style wet, and I'm hanging out to dry so they gets no play. Whether it's for a radio, they need to play it low key, cause MCing for them is not the way to go. It's not what you say, but how you deliver it. So if you're poetically inclined but can't articulate, it's useless. See, I do this with ease, it's like a natural born talent. For me to speak on beats and get this thing straight crack.
Still a B-boy, from the old to the new. Still a B-boy, too bold for the school. Still a B-boy, East Coast to the West. B-boys worldwide, we supposed to be blessed. Still a B-boy, from the old to the new. Still a B-boy, too bold for the school. Still a B-boy, East Coast to the West. B-boys worldwide,